So this evening we're going to be continuing the series we've been looking at on what it is to be a member of the church. So before everyone starts to get too comfy, let's kind of get you thinking on your feet. What kind of things have we been talking about over the last few weeks? So this evening is the final one of that series, and we're going to be looking at I will give financially to the work of the church. It's an interesting one. It's one that it's a topic and subject that I've struggled with in the past, and yeah, I think there's a potential for us to feel a little bit uncomfortable when it comes to the topic of kind of talking about money and giving to the church and everything that surrounds that. So I hope that this evening that you don't feel in any way kind of pressured by what I'm going to say, but I hope that we're all challenged about our own perceptions around giving and around money. That's my kind of hope for this evening. So the things that I'm going to be covering this evening fall under the category of the who, the why, the what, and the how and when. So hopefully we're going to be unpacking that over the next 10-ish minutes. But to start with, I know we all love videos, so we're going to start with a bit of a video. Now this was a story that I heard spoken and given by a guy called J. John. I couldn't find him doing it, so there's someone else telling this story.
He decided to buy himself a pack of donuts for his journey home. So he goes in and he bought himself a 5-pack of donuts. And as he got onto the train, he sat down in his chair, and you know those sort of awkward moments when you're sat opposite someone on the table and you're sat there and you're kind of looking forwards and you're thinking, do I introduce myself? Do we have a conversation here? Do I just zone out? Do I whatever? And so he's there, donuts in front of him, man opposite. Sort of about 10 minutes into the journey, he thinks he knows how good these Morrison donuts are. And so he reaches for his first Morrison donut. He opens the pack up, pulls it across, and he takes his first donut out, starts to enjoy the donut. It's fine. The person opposite him sort of gives him this little wry smile, takes the donuts, turns the donuts towards himself, pulls them forward, takes out the second donut, takes it out and starts to eat this donut. Okay, now you can imagine this bloke on the train is thinking, I know how good these donuts are. I bought 5 donuts and you have just taken my second donut. And this guy's eating it away, staring at him, giving him a look, and he is thinking, what is going on? I cannot believe how outrageous and rude this man is that he's eating my second donut. So he kind of gets a little bit defensive and he shuffles the donuts back towards himself across the table, and as he's doing that he then reaches in, he takes the third donut out and starts to eat the third donut, and he's now thinking, okay, I've kind of established my territory. He knows now that these are my donuts and I'm enjoying them. But you know the whole British thing, you don't want to say that they're being rude, just give them that look like you're being rude here. This guy opposite shuffles the donuts back towards himself, opens it, that little, because it's all cellophane wrapper, so he pulls that a little bit further to expose the 4th donut, takes the 4th donut and begins to eat the 4th donut as well. And at this point this guy is thinking, I cannot believe how awkward and out of order this bloke is opposite me, that he has eaten 2 of my 5 donuts. Now the story gets even worse, because at this point the guy sat opposite him and pushes the donuts back towards him and says, would you like the last donut? He's thinking, what? These are my 5 donuts. You've eaten 2 of my 5 donuts, and now you've got the cheek to ask me if I want my own final donut. Of course I do, but none of this is said. This is all just there in the face, and he's kind of like, of course I want that last donut. So he takes it and very polite, thank you very much, and eats his 5th and final donut. He travels home. He gets in through the front door. He takes his bag off his shoulder. As he takes his bag off his shoulder, he opens his bag. What is in the bag? A pack of 5 donuts from Morrison's. His whole journey, he was the one outrageously eating this other man's donuts. And this other guy was so generous that he offered him the final 5th donut of his own 5-pack. That is, what an awkward story that must have been.
Now believe it or not, although that... I know, we do love donuts. But believe it or not, that wasn't actually a story about donuts. Alright, now there was a bit of a message there. And the kind of the play is between the guy who bought the donuts, is kind of us, and the guy sitting opposite on the train is God. The point is, God owns all the donuts. Now, when I first heard this story, it was a bit of a shift for me, if I'm honest, because up until that point, I'd kind of been earning money and felt that I'd earned that money, and that money was mine. And people had talked about giving money to the church, and I thought, yeah, it's a good thing to do. And I kind of gave some money to the church, but still thinking, this is my money, and I'll give a little bit. And when I heard that, it kind of shifted my my perception. It made me think that actually, is this my money? I've earned it, but and I suppose linked to that is a passage I read in John 17:7 that says, "Now they know that everything you've given me. Now they know that everything you have given me comes from you." And the point is that everything we have is a gift from God. All right. So it does relate to our money, but it also relates to our talents. These are kind of God-given things. Our jobs, our money, maybe our cars, our houses, all those things, as we've said there, are gifts from God. So they're things that we've all been given. All right. Maybe we feel like we've got more of some, less of others, but we've all been given great gifts from God. So I think this kind of concept of giving applies to all of us. All right, whatever situation we're in, I think we all do have that kind of obligation. So that's the who, and that covers all of us. So moving on to the why. Our giving is an act of worship. So we've kind of established that all these good things that we have been given to us by God. And our giving is a way of kind of worshipping God, of thanking God, and giving back for all the things that He's given us. And I suppose kind of the way that when I've been thinking about this, as I've kind of summed it up, is it's choosing to put God first, not choosing to give whatever we have left. And I think that's really important. And in the Bible, in the Old Testament, there's the kind of concept of tithing, and they had a festival called First Fruits, where the whole village would come together, and everyone would give the first of their fruits as an offering, and then they would have whatever was left. And the concept was that they would give to God first, and they would have what was left. And that's, for me, a really interesting kind of thought when it comes to giving. Do we choose to kind of give to God and the church first, or do we take care of kind of everything we need to pay for, and then whatever we've got left, we'll give some of that? And for me, that was a real challenge as well. So that's the kind of the first point of kind of why we should give. Is that out of that act of worship, it's that saying thank you to God for everything He's given us. Second point is that our giving helps the church to function. You may think that kind of unlimited kind of runs by itself, and yeah, the reality is that it costs £256 per week for us to run. Okay, which actually seems like a lot of money. When I kind of sat down and worked it out, it kind of took me by surprise a bit, because there's a lot that kind of goes on that we don't always see. So that goes towards things like the tea, the toasties, but also bigger things such as the building and all those types of things. Now, we've been really fortunate as a church that we've been supported since we've kind of started by the diocese. We've been really generous in kind of funding us and getting us up and running. But I think there's a danger that we can kind of take that for granted, that we come along on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Sunday, and we don't kind of realise everything that goes into making unlimited work. And so our kind of giving, especially our financial giving, is a way of supporting that as well. So, we've done the who, we've done a little bit of the why. Now we're moving on to what people kind of often struggle to, as one of the kind of hardest things to look at, which is the what. Now, one verse that kind of talks about this really kind of interestingly is 2 Corinthians 9 verse 7, which says, "Each of you should give what you've decided to give in your heart." And I think the key point here is that what we decide to give is a decision between us and God. The kind of precedent in the Bible especially in the Old Testament, was for people to give 10% of their income on what they had. But ultimately, what you choose to give is something that's between you and God. And God sees the heart of what we do. So some of us may have a lot, some of us may have a little, but it's all about kind of choosing to give out of what we have. And I've got a story from the Bible which I'm just going to read. And just to set the scene, the Pharisees have been trying to catch Jesus out. They've been asking him kind of lots of tricky questions. And a little time after that, he kind of was in the temple with his disciples. And it says in Luke 21, as Jesus looked up, he saw the rich putting their gifts into the temple treasury. He also saw a poor widow putting 2 very small copper coins. He turned to his disciples and he said, truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all the others. All these people gave their gifts out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in all she had to live on. And I think the kind of the key point I want to get across this evening is that in a way it's not about the amount of money. I think the really important thing and the thing that God values is our heart, and why we're choosing to give and the amount we choose to give and what it means to us. And I think what God's looking for is obedience, and that kind of that reverence of giving back for everything that He's given us. So that may be that we feel that we don't have an income that we can give from. So one of the things that I've done in the past is that I've chosen to kind of sacrifice things. There's things that I maybe would have bought and chose not to, and have chosen to give that money instead. So that could be things like coffee. So instead of going out for coffee, I might say, right, actually, maybe if I was to go once a week, I won't go 1 week, and I'll give that money instead. Maybe not go to the cinema, give something like that up, and choose to kind of give that money instead. And I think that's the kind of the heart that God's looking for, is to kind of put Him first in what we do, including what we do with our money. So, how should we give? Well, God loves a cheerful giver. All right, and I'm going to make the point at the start that I don't want anyone to feel particularly under pressure that what we're saying is, in order to come to Unlimited, that you kind of have to give financially. The point that God makes, and Jesus makes in the Bible, is that we should give out of choice, not out of obligation. And this is the kind of end of that verse, 2 Corinthians 9 verse 7, where it said, each of you should give what you've decided to give in your heart. And then it goes on to say, for God loves a cheerful giver. And I think that's really important that we're not so attached to our money that we really resent giving it away or kind of giving it to the church. That actually it should be something that we do out of love, and do it cheerfully. Although there is the danger that we could maybe take it too far. And the point there is that it isn't a big showy thing. It's very much a personal thing between us and God. We've done the who, we've done the why, a little bit of the what. And I suppose the other one is coming into the how, but also to the when. Now another little test for you guys. What kind of options do we have for giving to the church? How can we physically do it? Josh. One of the key points with the when, for me, what I struggled with was getting round to do it. When I felt that it was something that I should do, I was like, yeah, I should definitely do this, I should definitely do that. And then, it's so easy to put these things off. That you go, I'll bring some money next week, I'll bring some money next week, or, when I get paid, I'll send a text then. And I think the only thing that I can encourage you from my experience is to do it now. And it is too easy to put things off. So I would encourage you that if as you're kind of working through things with God, if you feel that it's something that you'd like to do, to really kind of seize the moment and go for it. not to waste any time on that one.